Okay, so I thought I'd put my opinion forward on the V-Log on the GH4. Every man and his dog has got hold of this now, and they're doing their own testing on it. Obviously, because it was available free for a limited time by accident, thanks to Panasonic to that. Okay, so I'm no expert on log profiles. I'm no expert on grading. I've just been doing my own experiments to come to a conclusion for myself to decide whether I want to use it or not, and also comparing it to the S-log2 on my Sony A7s. So firstly, my personal choice of profile for the GH4 is either going to be Cine D or natural. I think natural, even though that's quite contrasty still, I think that has the best colour reproduction in terms of skin tones, etc. Even though it's a little bit warmer just because it's a fairly warm image coming out of the GH4. And so comparing the natural and the Cine D to V-Log. V-Log's obviously very, very flat. There is more dynamic range in the V-Log. There's no doubt about that. There is more information in the shadows, and the highlights are less blown out. But it's not, it's not a huge difference. And because the V-Log is forcing you to use ISO 400 minimum. We're introducing noise into the shadows without any doubt. There's definitely more noise in the shadows with the V-Log. And the GH4 obviously is a relatively noisy camera anyway, unfortunately, if you have a low light situation. It's half dozen of one and six of the other. It just depends on what you absolutely need most. If you need the most dynamic range in a shot, a particular shot where you've got like very contrasty, lots of light coming in and lots of shadow information that you want to retain in a shot, then V-Log will probably help you out a little bit. Personally, I'm finding it's just not worth it for the extra noise that is introduced. I think I will stick to what I was using before. So there you go, that's my general kind of summary. It also messes up the colours slightly with the V-Log, and I like my colours to be as good as they can be in camera in terms of accurate, and then if you want to sort of monkey around and put loots on it and colour grade it and go have fun with it afterwards, then that's up to you, but I liked it to be nice and accurate coming out of camera. Now the V-Log compared to the S-log2 on the A7s, now the Sony forces you to have a minimum ISO of 3200, and even though the Sony is a fantastic high ISO camera, that's still introducing a bunch of noise into the shadows that you don't want. I would say comparing the two, the V-Log at 400 ISO and the S-log at 3200, you're actually getting less noise out of the GH4 with the V-Log than the S-log on the Sony. Even though obviously, as I've said, the Sony is an amazing high ISO camera, it still is bringing in noise into what is actually a very low noise camera. So it's a real shame that you're forced to bump that high, and then obviously that makes things difficult in terms of having to use ND filters and all the rest of it, where you sometimes may not have needed them in other situations, other shots. And then again with the colours, I prefer a Cine 4 Gamma in the Sony, and the Matrix, I forget the full name, but I'll put it on the screen, the Matrix colour in the Sony profile. I think that's about as accurate as I've found I can get out of the Sony. The S-log makes things, which the camera already makes the blues look a bit older, makes things look slightly artificial, the Sony, just in general, and the S-log sort of exacerbates that and makes that even worse. So if you're, for example, I'm trying to do one shoot and I'm using both cameras, if I'm using the V-Log in the GH4 and the S-log in the Sony, it's taking two different cameras and making them even more different in terms of their color setups. And it makes the Sony sort of artificial look even more artificial, and it kind of just twists the GH4 colors a little bit and makes them again sort of look slightly sort of insipid and less natural looking. So it makes, if you're using the log profiles on both these cameras, it's making a cross edit between them all the more harder, all the more difficult. So, you know, it's up to you what you're going to do. If you're only using one camera and you absolutely have to have maximum dynamic range, then yeah, use the log profiles. For me personally, I don't think I'm going to. It's not worth it for the introduction of that extra noise, which I hate. I know you can use denoising software, but that just slows down the whole process of putting things together. So I'd only use that if I have to. And yeah, you know, some of my results, I'm thinking, oh, that shot looks so much nicer in the log profile. And then when I grade it, I've still retained all the information. I'm really, really on the fence. So apologies, you know, if I'm not giving you any sort of conclusion. It's purely because after a good sort of day and a half of testing, I can't come to one. I can't decide. I think you're just going to have to choose it, have a play with it yourself, and decide on, you know, off your own findings. If you're one of those people, like I say, that is desperate for maximum dynamic range, which is, let's face it, we all love to have loads of dynamic range in our shots, then use the log profiles. But just bear in mind, it's gonna make the colours look a slightly bit more artificial, even after like a nice grading, and it's going to introduce more noise. So it's up to you. It's up to you what you do. I think for the vast majority of my filming, I'm going to stick to Cine D or a natural in the GH4 and the Cine 4 gamma profile in the Sony with the matrix color setup. Anyway, there you go, guys. That's my opinion for what it's worth. Hopefully, it was slightly useful. Probably not that useful because of its inconclusive results. But anyway, there you go.